it's more from yours truly, Banks. And we're ready to get into our next topic on the Beauty Banks Radio. Today we are talking about quick weaves. And if you are unsure about what a quick weave is, it's also called a glue in. In this process, the person uses glue to bond their tracks instead of the traditional way, which would be through sewing. Quick weaves, like many hair extensions, came about and on the rise in the popularity during the 1970s. And during this time, people would use clip-ins, sew-ins, and you guessed it, glue to add extensions to their hair. When I think of someone who was a quick weave queen, I'm thinking Keisha Cole. She was famous for her blonde quick weaves, the short styles with different colors. Yeah, she slayed those styles down, and her hair was on the money. I think she was important to the industry as far as sticking to her roots. Her stylists were killing it though. Let me know in the comments of another celebrity that had some of the best quick weaves. Growing up, the most popular style with quick weaves was probably a shortcut. I know that it was also referred to as a 27 piece by how many tracks came in the box to complete the style with layers. See why I brought up my girl Keisha? This was her zone. Now we see the quick weaves being done with long hair and partials, and we even see glue used for quick ponytails. But weave is another word for extensions due to how the tracks were sewn or weaved into a person's hair, which allowed for the people to diversify their styles with different colors, textures, and length. But today we see quick weaves being done using one of the many traditional ways, but I would say today we focus more on protecting our natural hair. So, how do you even do a quick weave and why would a person want one? From a stylist standpoint, it's a quick way to give someone extensions without going through the hassle of threading a needle to sew in the wefts. From a client standpoint, it is usually completed faster than a traditional sew in because the person is literally gluing the tracks instead of sewing them. And it's possible to complete a glue in without braiding the hair down fully because they aren't needed. You see in a traditional sew-in braids that are necessary because we need to sew the weft onto something. You can also find that in many sew-ins now we see netted caps sewn down to the perimeter of the braid so that we can protect much of the hair from sewing directly onto it. Instead, you'll sew through the holes onto the netted cap. But let's get into the process of quick weaves. One big step that is completed in a quick weave is using a protective shield. So you would start by either making sure your hair is in a low ponytail with it braided and put away. Next, you will use a cap to cover the hair. This is where the protective shield comes in. You will use a protective shield and place it over the hair. I actually hate this part of the process because it is sticky, but it is helpful on the hair as you don't want your hair to fight with the glue that will be used to have your tracks applied with. So the next step after the protective shield is you would get under the dryer or use a handheld one to make sure the protective shield is dry. And then here's where you can start gluing the tracks. Quick weaves are easier to do on yourself if you are not a strong stylist on your own head or a strong sewer. So this route you can just place the tracks where you want them to go. In order to bond the tracks with the glue, you do want to use a blow dryer with you. After you place the tracks, you go ahead and hit them with the blow dryer on a cool setting. And very soon you'll have your hair in a cute style, whether you want to have your own leave out, a full closure, or so be it. This is a really cool way to lay your extensions and it can last on an average for about 2 weeks. And you keep up with the quick weave by making sure it's wrapped at night, but it really depends on the hair that you're using during the process. If you use hair that can be curled, then your client can have some fun with their hair by curling it and so on. You also have a lot of leeway with styling the quick weave as well. And this also depends on the type of hair you use and which method you decide with having your hair out. Will it be a full or using a closure? Let us know what method you use in the comments. Quick weaves are pretty easy to do. Some people can do them on themselves, but they don't have to sew, and others can call on professionals because why not? But I will admit, I do think that quick weave is an easy process and it is way easier than sewing. I do think that it can mess up your hair really bad if you do not know what you're doing. And I wouldn't just try this without practice, which brings us to some of the cons of quick weaves. All right, now let's get into some of the cons of the quick weaves. We know that our edges are important to us. We must recognize that when we repeat styles that cause tension, we can definitely account for breakage in the near future. Even with the protective shield, repeating quick weave after quick weave, no matter how convenient they are, can be damaging to our hair. And that's with really any style. But this is one that I would recommend that if you do love quick weaves, I'm not saying stop, but I am saying take your time with them. And I would say the same thing to a person who is getting sewn consistently. While protective styles do a great job of protecting our hair, it's a reason they are protective and not called everyday styles. You are protecting your hair and expected to let it out and breathe at some point. What I want you to remember is that with any style, you still want to think about your hair at the beginning and the end of the day. But I want to hear your views, trustees. Do you like Quickweaves? Is this a styling service that you provide or doing yourself? Why or why not? Let us know in the comments on our Patreon at BB Radio. Until next time, trustees, stay beautiful and spread your sparkle.